Hello, everyone!
Hey.
Hi! Thank you, everybody, so much for tuning in. Really appreciate you being here tonight. I'm pretty excited.
I'm really excited. This is not unusual to run a class on a Thursday for me. Unusual to be in a room with somebody else, though.
Yes, this is, yeah, well, I've had a couple, but yeah, you said this was your first in-person kind of class, right?
First in-person class, which is like kind of just exciting and a little like, yeah, I usually, this is my first time I get to drink with somebody in person.
Oh, it's going to be it's great. So excited. And we're really excited for all of you to be having some beverages with us. If you've purchased some kits, fantastic. If you're just watching for the enjoyment, also really thank you. This is a great class to carry on and watch later. A lot of these slushie kits you will be able to make multiple batches of. So please feel free to reference this back, share this video, and have some great summer slushie beverages to be able to make at home.
Yes, all of our videos are archived at the Raise TV YouTube page that you're on right now. So we'll be in perpetuity. So next year, next birthday party, whatever. And, you know, for all those that missed the Growler Gallery, I appreciate the love. We'll be back soon enough, but this is the best way that Scott and I could think about bringing a little Growler Gallery love right to you.
Yeah, because we love the slushies have been a full labor of love as far as like constructing them, making them. It is a really exciting thing. So definitely really happy to be bringing these to home.
Yeah, well, let's get into it right away. We'll talk about the slushie program and you know the future of the slushie program, but we're going to start with the origination of the slushie program. And that's the Frozé. We got our first slushie machines a few years ago, and at the time there was this little cocktail coming about throughout the United States, which was the Frozé. And I want to say Ray's must have been one of the first to jump on it here in the Milwaukee scene and took on with love.
Yes,
so.
Yeah, it was definitely something you were seeing, and almost had more of like almost seemed to have like a sangria type vibe to it, where like everybody had a little bit different recipe.
Oh, and still do. I've had, you know, Frozés that turned out more like a strawberry daiquiri.
Yeah.
I've had some unbearably cloying, sugary gems from like New Orleans slushy shops, daiquiri shops. But one of the things that we always try to do is keep it dry, keep it fresh, keep it about the wine. So
yes, and lovely. And we're going to be making this a little bit different. This is going to be made in a classic Italian style called a Granita. So you notice we're not using the blenders for this one. And this is kind of, if you've ever had like an original Italian ice, or if you've had a Granita in Italy, you will kind of recognize what we're kind of doing. But this is a little bit of a play on that original frozen drink. And so right now what we're kind of doing, and this is definitely something you have to make ahead of time, so we'll kind of jump real quick as far as the construction of this, but then we'll get right into it. You put in some limoncello in there and 2/3 cup, right?
2/3 cup of the limoncello. If you have the kit, this is the brand that we chose, but there's a lot of great limoncello brands out there.
Yeah, and limoncello is a relatively, it's an old but new thing. Like it's something that's been around since like the Middle Ages, or like it was often referred to, like many monks would have it as a wake up drink.
The limoncello?
The limoncello would be like a wake-up drink, but it didn't really get popularized as what it is now.
Until Danny DeVito got drunk on it in a car. Oh,
well, if that was like the 80s, yeah, it's like a relatively, it's like the first like bar scene you would see of it was like in Capri in post World War II.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's a great base. We definitely want to give some citrus punch. We'll talk a little bit more about the dynamic of the intensity of flavors for frozen drinks later, but the limoncello really brings a strong flavor that will translate even after the freeze.
Yes.
The next thing that's so important to all the cocktails we're going to be doing tonight is the simple syrup. There's got to be a sugar note to what we're doing here. Again, we're talking about the actual chemistry of making a frozen cocktail.
Yes, this is adding in sugar, and specifically liquid sugar for anything that you're going to freeze. Is pretty key. You can't, if you try to use granulated sugar, it's just not gonna create the solution you need, because that's essentially what we're making here. We're making a solution. We're taking water, which is all what's going to freeze in any of these products is the water, and adding in other parts of a solution. So sugar, alcohol, all those little things, and that's going to break apart the water and allow these nice little ice crystals to kind of form and separate the water from the alcohol.
So the greatest thing about this one that we're doing first, the Granita Frozé version is only a 3-ingredient option or recipe. So the final ingredient being the rosé. Scott, talk about why we chose this rosé or the most ideal rosés.
So there is no ideal the ideal rosé is the rosé you have going on. We chose a Provincial Rosé just because it's classic. And fun story, Provincial Rosés are classically enjoyed with ice. If you go into southern France, you go to Provence, they will ask you at a restaurant, do you want some ice in your rosé? It is the classic version of rosé to have chilled, and so that's why we chose this one. One of my personal favorite rosés, and I know it's what we've used up in the bar before, is Tavel, which is a region of southern France that exclusively makes rosé, and it's a bit more of an extracted rosé, and so they leave the skins on there. What that means, they leave the skins on there a little bit longer and get a nice bright, almost like garnet red color, and it really translates really, really well into beverages.
I'm going to disagree with you, actually. We did try the Tavel, and it wasn't the most ideal.
Okay.
And I understand and definitely take the option of taking the rosé that you have in hand being the best rosé. But in my experience, doing the slushies for the bar, the color. Something with a little bit more color. Through the freezing process, that color will be muted. So I tried to do something with some color to the intensity to the color so that it'll keep that pinkish hue even after being frozen. But the other thing is a lot of rosados.
Oh,
a lot
sure.
of the Spanish rosés.
Sure.
They have a little bit more of a berry coming through, and I want a little bit more of a sweeter, more fruitful. I shouldn't say sweet. No residual sugar in the rosé, but a dry fruitful.
You bring up a great point because the rosado does have a little more brightness to it. Like Tavel's a little more unctuous.
Yeah.
So that is a great point.
Anyway, everything's mixed in there.
Yeah. So we just kind of put this in like a regular baking pan, like what you just make a casserole in, and really what your goal is here is you want to take like a fork or something, like a whisk, and you just want to kind of get a nice good mixture going. And let's get a little bit of a close up here. You can kind of see, just want to get a nice little mixture, get all around the edges there. And what you want to do is you want to integrate that sugar and that limoncello in with that rosé, and then like kind of really get it nice and mixed in so that it can break apart the water and create those little pockets for that water to break apart from the alcohol and freeze. And what you get is imagine you get something like this. We use in like a regular jelly roll pan. Had to take it out of the freezer in there, so it's a little more extra liquidy than we were hoping. But when you do this, is what you keep a nice kind of silky texture in with your granita, and that's one of the major kind of key components is keeping that nice silky texture and really kind of creating like a nice smooth drink there. Yeah, we can get that Star Wars whisk out of there. Yeah.
So the idea is the process will take 2 hours to get the appropriate texture.
About 2 hours, and then like anything you take out of the freezer, it's that water is going to start thawing right away. So it is designed to kind of have more immediate upon consumption. Well, cheers, Rob. Cheers. Yeah. Oh, but you can smell that lemon right away.
Sorry, I just drank right away. It turned good. So
yeah.
About every half hour, return back to the freezer with the fork, you saw that Scott had his whisk. Break up all the ice crystals forming. The idea is that you are creating essentially a sherbet, sorbet kind of texture.
And funny you mentioned sorbet because that's where the root of this whole drink originates. It dates back about 4,000 years to Mesopotamia, into which sherbet was the root. And in Italy, it was always referred to as granita in Italy, and specifically it was very popular in Sicily, where they would get snow from Mount Etna, which is the major mountain in Sicily, and over the winter they would stash the snow in caves and wait for summer, in which they would then truck up a bunch of jute bags, which is almost like a burlap kind of bag, and pack it with ferns and other foliage to kind of create like a makeshift cooler and truck the snow then down the mountain in the middle of the summer, all keeping it in motion, like turning this bag over and all keeping it in motion, mixed with sugar or it was honey at the time, but honey and lemon, and that was essentially the root of the first Granita.
Really?
Yeah.
A little bit of my reading was Arabs brought it over to Sicily.
Yes, well, Arabs brought in the lemons and sugarcane.
And it turned out in modern times to be more of a dessert or a snack treat. Non-alcoholic. The alcohol is kind of a newer addition to the process, to the recipe, but it really is a fun way to either do an alcohol or non-alcohol treat for a party, for entertaining. You can see that it did melt pretty quickly, but it was a really, really great, refined, elegant way for us to present one of the most elegant frosés or slushies that we do here at the Growler Gallery.
Yes, and I see Cindy actually made it and is really enjoying it. Awesome. Glad to hear that it worked out for you, Cindy. Thanks. Thank you so much for participating, trying it out. Yeah, it's kind of fun. And like if anyone has ever made, have you ever made one of those ice cream machines? You know what I'm talking about?
Should I be like the Snoopy one?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. That is not too far off from the current like the modern or like the old modern method. They would take a zinc bucket and they would pack salt and snow in a wood bucket and then put a zinc bucket in the middle of this snowpack and spin it.
Sure.
They would spin it in the snow and just take like a spoon and just like constantly mixing in that same thing, that same mixture of water and like water, honey, lemon. Now they would have sugar and they would start mixing in other flavors. Really popular flavors would be coffee, pistachio, almond, strawberry, and it got to become more of a breakfast treat.
Sure.
Yeah, you would classically have it in Sicily. You would get your granita and a little brioche roll, and you would dip your brioche in the granita, and now that's all I want is brioche and boozy ice cream.
It's always going to be a classic and a mainstay, the Frozé to the Ray's Growler recipe book, and what we do is not too far off of in the slushie than what we just presented you here. The big difference is we go a little bit more boozy. We have the addition of vodka for our slushie. Our slushies, as many of the Growler Gallery faithful know, are pretty heavy hitters. Yeah, a little potent. But we did want to keep this one a little lower in the ABV because of the melting point, and to make it a little bit easier for us to get the texture we desired for the granita.
Right, because you're like the slushie machine, like they get way below freezing.
Way below freezing. Basically, it always is agitating, and it can withstand. The only slushie that I've ever created that we really couldn't get to a proper stable point was when we tried to do a traditional New Orleans zombie.
Yeah, because it had too much alcohol.
We did Bacardi 151 in addition to the other rums, and it was just too much booze. That poor slushie machine was working its tail off, but I couldn't get it.
But just like another quick tip, like so as anyone making these granitas at home, do check your freezer temperature because you do want to make sure it's nice and cold. Yeah. You don't want to make the same mistake when we did first testing this, where we had it in the freezer for a good 8 hours and just nowhere.
Scott and I had an entire shift on a Sunday. We just couldn't get it to freeze up properly. And it turned out it was just a little simple temperature issue. But again, the key to making this to be the texture like an icy, like Scott kind of described, and the closest to our slushie, is make sure that you're going frequently to break out those ice crystals. I've read several recipes when making granitas that said, "Oh, leave it in the freezer for a few hours, return back, and then break it up." At that point, you're going to have it's going to be separated. It's not going to have the texture.
And I have vivid memories of, and I know my mom's on the stream, so she's probably going to be mortified of my mom pulling out the Blue Bunny ice cream bucket out of the chest freezer for God knows how long, and just taking that metal spoon and just scraping. Yeah. This is a little bit more. There's still some work that has to be done, but this will save you a lot of time when you want to just get it in a cup.
Yeah, it really, really a delicious treat, especially if you're trying to do something a little bit more refined for your patio cocktailing.
It's perfect.
A little bit unlike the history of blender drinks, which we're going to get into.
Yes.
So
well, let's get this out
yeah.
and start talking about blenders. Oh, here we go. Easy. Okay. Movie magic it down here. There we go.
So, again, the theme of tonight was really just to bring a little bit of the Growler Gallery and specifically the slushies to you guys at home. Couldn't have been better when we've had a couple humid days and really got us thirsty for frozen drinks.
Yes.
We're going to go next to what is the most popular slushie of the Ray's seasonal slushies, and that is the Paloma, the Paddy's Paloma. Again, one of the OGs of the slushie recipe book, and just took off a couple years ago.
Yes, I mean that was one of the you said one of the original ones, and has been always back on the list. I've never almost seemed like it was never off.
There was a couple times where I
couldn't.
I didn't. I ignored the calendar and just kept it on longer than probably necessary. The goal with us talking about the origin of this cocktail for our gallery was to do a tequila cocktail, but not just do a frozen margarita.
Right, because you've seen it everywhere.
Yeah. So I mean, Palomas, in my opinion, can be a little bit polarizing for folks. Like,
sure.
When I tell people we don't have 50-50 soda in it, or a squirt or whatever people use, they get offended. It's not a Paloma then. And I
learned why that is.
Why?
So apparently, and this is all on Squirt's side, Squirt claims to be the first grapefruit soda in a Paloma. They claim it's their claim to fame, and the timing matches up. Like they got it. They came into business around like the 1940s, which the Paloma was invented loosely between 1950 and 1960. So the timing adds up, but it's an ambiguous cocktail. Like there's no clear written recipe anywhere of whether it was grapefruit soda that was first or grapefruit juice that was first. But soda was becoming popularized in that mid-century of the United States. So it could really have been anything.
Well, I mean, I like to keep it a little bit cleaner. First of all, understand my personal taste. I love Greyhounds. So that's a vodka grapefruit drink, great breakfast cocktail. And similarly, I love Palomas. Now this we chose again for the sugar content. This is a much more heavy sugar juice than, say, if I was to make you a non-frozen Paloma, I would actually ideally squeeze fresh grapefruit juice in it, but that won't work as well for our purposes here with the blender drink.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, you would get great acidity out of it, but it's still, like you said, it's not going to just have enough sugar.
Not going to have enough sugar. Won't stabilize the cocktail well, and quite frankly, it really just the flavor won't be there. It's a pretty simple concept. There's two items I want to talk about, the basics of creating any frozen cocktail. One, be more of a baker than a cook, especially when doing any kind of batch cocktail, frozen or not. Stick to your ratios. We're very lucky here at Ray's. The real architect of our slushie program was our buddy Nate. Nate Norfolk, better known as Weird Pop-Up Video Guy. If you don't know him from our wine department, he really gave us the structure, the ratios on how to build these. So frankly, when I got here, all I had to do was stick to the formula and play with flavors, which is great for me.
There were two. You always told me there were two keys: have enough sugar and have enough acid.
Have enough sugar and have enough acid. The thing is, once your drink is frozen, the flavor is going to be muted as well as the colors. So start with an intense, almost cocktail concentrate, so that basically once it's frozen, it'll be an approximation exactly where you wanted it to be in the first place.
Right. Yeah, especially because we're going to, with the ice that we're adding, it's going to be adding in that dilution factor that you add into any sort of cocktail that you make at home. We're not, like, instead of shaking it, we're literally blending it, which is adding that water back into adding and opening up all those flavors. You want to use Old Red for this guy, and then
we'll use Old. Yeah, Scott and I have competing blenders. Blenders.
Awesome. Yeah, I snuck this one out of the house this morning. Sorry.
Well, Scott's going to start with the Brie Bun.
Yes.
One of the reasons why Scott and I love this cocktail for large batches, it's got such great value.
Oh,
it's right there flavor wise.
Yes, absolutely. The go-to cocktail tequila for me.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But we're going to start off with 6 ounces.
6 ounces, and like Rob said, being a bit like measuring this out, and really measuring out any drink is key to making a great drink. It really was what will separate your a sophisticated, like, well-made drink versus like some jungle juice you made at a college party.
The quantity of what we're making here in these blender cocktails are as about 10 cocktails worth. We did a lot of experimentation, just a lot of happy coworkers on Sunday shifts.
Yes.
Please don't tell our bosses. And that's what it worked out about. What we're doing is about a 10 cocktail batch.
Yeah, so like you could translate these into single batches. It would be a bit tougher. You would just use, like, if you bought a kit, they have the instructions in there. Literally just pare it down. So if you want to pare it down by a half, you literally cut in half. You just utilize it as parts, and you can go and make a smaller batch from there.
Yeah. So next we're going to go with the full bottle, the 16-ounce bottle of the Everfresh grapefruit juice.
Yes, and nice bright pink color in there. Beautiful.
I got to tell you, again, I'm a big fan of using the Everfresh brand.
We tried other things.
Yeah.
We did.
Then going back, of course, to the simple syrup.
Yes.
It's always a key player. So this time we're going to do 4 ounces of the simple syrup.
Yes. Oop, this is a fresh...
Do you want mine?
Yeah. I didn't take the little seal off this bottle.
Okay.
Awesome, thank you.
So you can futz with these recipes a bit. Don't let me misguide you and think that there's no playing around with either the sugar content or the booziness. But just understand that you're not just changing the flavor or the alcohol content. You're also going to be futzing a little bit with the structure of the cocktail and how stable it'll be.
Absolutely, yeah. Like one of my recommendations, if you wanted to change it up, instead of 16 ounces of grapefruit juice, you could do, 12 ounces of grapefruit juice and then 4 ounces of lime juice. Like, you'd want to keep it pretty similar, something else that's sugary and acidic. And then finally, 2 cups of ice, right?
2 cups of ice.
Yes.
Basically, filling it up.
Yes. Oh, that's good.
So I found out one interesting fact in researching for this. Now, understand, in my 20 plus years of bartending, I've actually never worked for a blender bar type.
Okay.
Like, I've never really done blender drinks. The Slushie, I would have never thought I was going to end up to be a Slushie slinger, but so it happened. And anyways, looking at the history of blender drinks, Racine, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
First,
you mentioned
first patented plans for a blender was from Racine, Wisconsin, from one Mr. Pulaski. So
fascinating. Yeah, and as some people may know, like, there is a large history of blender drinks, specifically here in Milwaukee too.
Well, thanks to individuals like John Dye, all the folks over at Random, as well as Bryant's. Classic. I mean, they are classic cocktails. Basically, blender cocktails became mostly popular in Cuba during Prohibition era. Thanks in large part to the liver of one Ernest Hemingway.
Oh yes.
With the daiquiris, really was where it started at the Florida bar. So,
yes.
Anyway, it's really came about mostly with these fruit-based cocktails, but we're gonna move into the dessert stuff later.
That's coming up. But yeah, this is. I know we're kind of letting this sit here a little bit, but just one other quick kind of point. This is what other thing that I found very fascinating about the Paloma itself is it was reportedly it's like I said, it's a very ambiguous drink. There's very little direct research on it, but the one kind of standout thing is that there was a man named Don Javier Delgado Corona invented this drink in Tequila, Mexico, which is in Jalisco where tequila comes from. And he ran a little cantina bar in there and just would classically like stir this drink with a big old knife. It's like that's the consistent story. And the fun part is that he denied it. He's like, I didn't invent it. He was like, and he would tell people, but everybody will say that he invented it.
It is crazy when you get into the history of cocktail recipes and all the different stories. But yeah, go ahead, give it a blend.
And so how long should I blend this for?
I'm gonna say let's go for probably 1 to 2 minutes. Yeah.
Man, I mean, initially I wouldn't think it would be that long, but you want to get a nice solid mixture going.
I personally, I want to break down the ice as much as possible. I want to have it to be really homogenized as far as the texture goes. I don't want to be chewing on ice chunks.
Exactly. So bear with us. Turn down those speakers. 3, 2, 1. There we go. Whoa. Just lovely color, and you would think that this is still right. That this is ready to go right now.
Give it a look. Give it a look.
But we can. We'll check it out. And there we go. Oh, that is brimming. You know, I'm gonna check it out with the spoon here. And don't be get in there and check it out. Like, okay, that's looking all right. I think a little more. What do you think, Rob? Oh man.
Let's pour some out.
Let's get some out of here. All right. There we go. Woo. That's a full blender. So we have a lot of bubbles here, as you can probably see, and a lot of that is due to the agitation that we've caused.
I actually love the color.
Yes, that nice bright pink color. Oh, you can hear it foaming. Oh, man. Yeah, that actually looks pretty good.
Great.
That looks
One
great.
variation that Scott and I worked on in our research for the class was we tried to use some grapefruit bitters. That was a great way to get like a concentrated flavor like I spoke of before.
It was a great additive. Yeah, cheers.
Cheers. I love it. There is a little bit of a pink still. It smells so fresh.
Oh, it's got a nice froth to it. Mm.
This is great.
Yeah. Crushable.
So this one drinks not quite as thick as the slushies, but it has a pure broth. You're right. That was maybe your maybe Big Red there just has more power.
A little more power to it, it might. Yeah, which it's definitely figuring out your own home blender is definitely going to be key because everyone's blender is going to be a little different. So don't be afraid to experiment and just have some fun with it.
I really like that.
Mm.
You could go more booze, but again, it's going to end up to be a little more watery.
Yeah, I don't think it needs it. Oh, that's crushable. Oh, wonderful.
That's all right. Absolutely perfect.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, I'm really glad you kind of brought up the Greyhound because like that's where I felt like that a Paloma originally came from. That like a classic 1920s breakfast drink.
Yeah.
That you just naturally take into an area where they have tequila, and boom, you have the Paloma. Like it almost seems like it would just naturally happen.
I would brunch with this all day long.
All the time. All the time.
Yeah, this does make me excited for summer drinking. I'm very happy actually that the Frozé was undoubtedly going to be successful because at the time we introduced it, so the Slushie machines came to Ray's just over 4 years ago, and I mean that was obviously going to be a big hit.
Has it been that long?
It really has.
Wow.
We started with one Slushie machine, and then when I got to the gallery, we added the second couple. One. Yeah, and but I'm happy that this is really one of our mainstays because I just really think it's a sophisticated cocktail. You could also play around with which tequila you use.
Oh, good call.
I've made Palomas with mezcals and been very, very happy with that. Nice to mix up maybe also an infused simple syrup, which, did you ever do an infused
I've done a couple of infused simple syrups, and I think this personally would be great with like a spiced orange. You do a couple cinnamon sticks and some orange slices in there would really liven it up a little bit if you want to try that, or throw in some lime wedges even in your simple syrup. Those are two great ones. I would even say you could even do like a lavender one if you want to get a more like a floral aspect to it and kind of play off of the floral aspects of tequila. Would definitely be a great riff.
That's the perfect color for me.
Yes,
that's
look
awesome.
at it. I just keep looking at it, and it's just nice, bright and pink.
Oh, great work, Scotty.
Thank you. All right, and if you have any, please feel free to toss in the chat if you have any questions, not just on any of these blender drinks that we're making today, or the Granita or anything else. But any cocktail questions, you know, you got Rob here. I know some stuff. Rob knows a ton of stuff. We'll be more than happy to answer any questions. So please feel free to kind of toss those in.
One thing I know is we failed to mention when we were doing the Frozé, we got the Rosé class next.
Oh my God, yes!
So
yes, yeah, this Saturday, Nate has a lovely...
Don't worry.
No,
Talk.
A lovely rosé class featuring three classic rosés. He's got a provincial rosé going on in there, a nice domestic rosé, and then a Gruner, a little bit of a wild card, a Gruner rosé or
I never had that. Okay.
Yeah, something from Austria.
So, one thing to note, you will see, it separates very quickly. I am getting a couple of little ice chunks.
Mm-hmm.
So, no problem ever giving it another little whirl right before you serve a second batch. But, that's great. Yeah, if anybody has questions about what's going on with us here at Ray's, we have a lot of exciting stuff coming into the summer, and really can't wait to introduce some new items, and hopefully again make sure that you don't have slushies at home, and maybe slushies back at the bar soon enough.
Hopefully soon enough. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. All right.
Should we move to the last one?
I think we got to move to the All-Star. So spoiler alert, this was definitely my favorite, and I'm going to speak for Rob here too. I think it was his favorite too. This was a treat to make in a blender, and a treat to have at the bar.
Yeah. This was a silly one. You know, so we went through a transition in the Growler Gallery with our slushy program, where we really were first starting to, I guess you'd say, convert classic cocktails into slushy form, and really talk a little bit about our attitude. Why we do slushies is because in the advent of craft cocktails, and as you all know that have been to the gallery, we don't have a lot of space for inventory for all the different necessities of having a really great aggressive craft cocktail program. We thought batch cocktails would be the best way to go about it, and if we're going to do that, have a little fun with it. So, I'm proud to say that we were really one of the first to do a full slushy program in this area, and it's our tongue-in-cheek way to do craft cocktails, but don't ever misunderstand the fact that we don't take them very seriously. If you ever see me and the other bartenders mixing them, we do feel like, mad scientists, really tinkering, really making sure it's exacts. So anyway, go ahead.
I was saying the amount of thought process in not only creating the cocktails, but creating a cohesive list of having, no, we already got a tequila. No, we can't have two cream ones. We got two cream ones.
Trying to do a little bit of variety, even just in the four that we offer at any given time. But the Ray-Bowski was when we probably first started moving away from doing craft cocktails and doing other inspirations. And I mean, it's quite obvious that those cinema fans, that the inspiration was the 20th anniversary of the release of the Big Ray-Bowski. And we thought it'd be a fun theme for the bar one night, and White Russians, Blind Russians actually are more my favorite.
Yes, which this is actually more akin to.
It is a blind Russian. So the big difference between white and blind Russians are White Russian being the vodka, still the coffee liqueur, in most cases it's Kahlua, and then doing a cream. But the blind Russian, which is just, it's so silly, why not just add more booze? So do a cream liqueur instead of just basic cream.
The classic booze on booze additive.
The booze on booze on booze. So that's what we did here. We wanted to do a riff of the dude, the main character from the movie's favorite cocktail, and do a slushy drink with it.
He drinks 9 of them throughout the entire movie.
Oh, good fact. Wow. Really, just 9?
9. Throughout a 2-hour movie, he drinks 9 of them.
Oh, maybe that'd be a theme night.
Can you imagine playing that drinking game?
There, White Russian drunk is a different form of drink.
Oh, well, it's funny because like reading up on this cocktail, it's like a cocktail that at the time of its invention in the 1950s or 1949 specifically, it's something that was like, no, this won't work. but yet it did.
Okay.
Just the additive of like coffee liqueur cream, like because you think coffee and cream would make sense, but the whole thought process at that time that this is not going to be something that worked, and it was funny enough, it was made in Belgium originally for a U.S. diplomat.
Oh, really?
Yes, U.S. diplomat during some in Brussels, Belgium in 1949. Apparently went up to a bar, and I forget the name of the bar. I thought I wrote it down, but I didn't. And asked for something chill.
Okay.
And the bartender apparently came up with exactly what we know today as a White Russian. Threw in some coffee liqueur, some vodka, and cream, and so we have it. I think he took a riff on what was originally called a Russian, and that was a drink that was from 1930s. So like not too long, in which that was vodka, gin, and cream cacao. That was just called a Russian.
Honestly, when we do it either for the slushies or just in general, adding vodka to a cocktail is just to get you more drunk.
Exactly.
It doesn't add anything else to the cocktail than just alcohol content.
Well, because by design it's supposed to be colorless, odorless, and tasteless, so it is just to fortify it up.
I like alcohol and I like the taste of it. I don't. Well, whatever. I don't get it. It is interesting though, in talking about the history of cocktails, why frothy cocktails kind of lost its place. Like historically, it was all of the egg whites and the cream.
It was a complete morning thing. It was the classic brunch drink, and then in about the 80s is when all those drinks kind of started falling off. People started just turning into screwdrivers and Bloody Marys. They were turning away from the morning cream drinks.
Well, I will say about my palate, even though I promote how much I like Greyhounds and Palomas, I actually really do like fruit cocktails. Aren't my main go.
Okay.
So
that's fair.
This is something that I really enjoy. I don't treat myself often to blind Russians, but when I do, oh boy.
Oh my.
So, well,
yeah. Let's
make
make
it
one.
easy.
Let's make them.
The key for us.
Chat here. Okay.
The milk and honey. This is our cream liqueur of choice. Yeah, I mean it's absolutely delicious. It has a really great texture to it, and it's nice and shelf stable for our bar. So
yes, and it's a wonderful kind of switch up from your classic cream liqueurs. They use date sugar in for their cream liqueur, so it adds a really nice nectary, honey kind of.
Oh, thanks.
Get some extra water here. Kind of texture to the liqueur. And I feel like makes it a little more palatable for me. I feel like Bailey's I just think is too sweet.
Yeah.
And this is sweet. Like it's sweet, but it just adds like a layer of character to it. I will say. And how much you put in there?
A full cup.
Full cup.
Full cup. You ever make your own Irish cream?
I have never done that.
I did that for a while.
Mom, have you ever done that? Put in the chat if you've done that. And I don't know if I've ever had like a homemade cream liqueur.
Pretty easy and can be a fun gift to do for folks.
Ooh.
Maybe a future class.
That might have to happen. All right, so we got our full cup, and now we got our coffee liqueur.
Now we're doing third on the next few items.
So, and you'll notice this is not Kahlua. And I know Rob has said before that Kahlua is what is famously used for this drink. It is not, however, the first coffee liqueur that was made with this drink. It was a coffee liqueur referred to as Coffee Southern, which is a whiskey-based coffee liqueur. And really what set this drink off in the 1960s was there was an ad in the Oakland Tribune where they put in the recipe of a White Russian featuring Coffee Southern, and that caused it to kind of take off in the United States. It was like it was in an Oakland newspaper. Yeah, but and then not too long afterwards, Kahlua kind of came into which is a rum-based coffee liqueur, whereas Coffee Southern was whiskey-based. I think that's where kind of Kahlua really took off. Is one, it was an accessible coffee liqueur. Two, rum, I just feel like pairs better, personally, with these flavors.
Interesting. Yeah. Never really gave it a thought. Maybe, yeah, mess around with that.
Yeah, well, and you can also make what's referred to as a white Cuban, which you would replace the vodka with rum.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
That would be nice.
So, in all honesty, the Capali is not actually the coffee liqueur we use for the slushie either. But yeah, C&H actually is a coffee liqueur that I really like. So that's another, if you wanted to futz around with this recipe, that would be another option for you. We do, however, use the Milk and Honey brand. That would be my first choice here. Back to our mainstay.
Classic, yes. And even though we're adding in two different liqueurs, we are still adding in some sugar. Now we need the more sugar, don't we?
Yeah.
Yes. Just because, like I said, that sugar is what's breaking up the water and allowing it to freeze.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You know, if you are chiming in and you're a big fan of our slushies, let me know which ones. If I were to open the Growler Gallery up soon, what you'd like to see first. I got 4 to choose from, so give me a little. I guess.
Yeah,
I won't even be seasonally correct. If somebody says they want the reindeer drool, I'll go for it.
I mean, there is a deer literally in the house. It's in the chat. Deer in the house.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's my dad.
Is this the same gentleman that made an improper pass at your mom?
I would say the most proper pass. If anyone's making a pass at my mom, it should be my dad.
Fair. So again, 1 cup, and then a third.
Real easy.
And then, just to give it a little twist, because with our slushies, we always like to, kind of flex our bartending muscles a little bit more. We're choosing to do a little bitters. 20 dashes. Don't ever, when you're making your slushies, feel afraid to do bitters. I mean, bitters are always a nice little twist.
They are the bartender spice rack.
But don't be bashful with them. Bitters, bitters should be used in abundance, not just 1 or 2 dashes.
I'm completely in that camp. Every recipe, I kind of treat bitter dashes like I treat garlic cloves in a recipe. No, the recipe is 1 garlic clove. Oh, honey, no. It is never 1 garlic clove.
Okay, so approximately 2 cups of ice. This is the only place I won't be that, precise with, I guess. But that'll be good.
There we go. Oh, I'm excited for this one.
Okay. Again.
Do it up. All right.
Fair warning. Turn your volume down for a minute, maybe.
Gonna get loud.
I will say the nice thing about this is to make a slushie, from mixing to actually getting it to freeze up and churned and all that, you're talking about like a good half hour to an hour. So the blender drinks are nice in that fashion.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, let's see.
So there's been a couple requests already. The Paloma's the favorite
so
far. Mojito.
Oh, really?
Mojito one.
It surprised me because people don't buy it as much as they should buy it. Okay. Right. I'll make you a mojito.
But this was my sleeper pick too. The caramel apple one. With the Dorda,
oh my gosh, who chimed in with that guy?
That was Natasha.
Natasha, really, like digging deep for the B-sides. I like that.
B-sides.
I like the Dorda's really good. That's
the
a great
Dorda
call.
Is classic, yeah.
I think I only used that. I think that only had 1 turn on our list. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, guys. Keep the suggestions coming at all times. I mean, if not tonight, throw those at me on our Ray's Growler page, maybe on social media.
Toss in the comments. Oh, but just look at that. Oh, I love that.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, there it is. There it is.
I mean, this is probably the closest to like the exact taste, color, and texture as we would do right in the slushie. I think that using the cream liqueur is very forgiving for the both home and professional bartender.
But you can definitely, if you've made this at home, like, one, you're not missing out. Two, the bitters just add like such a layer to it.
Yeah, I mean, so again, you know, almost like watching or reading recipes from a professional chef, and the difference between a proper kitchen chef and a home cook. If you wanted to know the real difference between a amateur bartender and those that sweat it out every night, bitters is one of the main plays.
Yes.
And bitters, I'm so proud that Ray's carries such a vast variety of makers as well as flavors. Obviously, we have our local favorites being Bitter Cube, but we do represent a couple other brands, and you should have more than just the Angostura in your home bar. Absolutely.
Yes, think of Angostura as your salt and pepper.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't just have salt and pepper in your spice rack. You have your cumin, you have your paprika, you got your tarragon, all your kind of stuff. So branch out with your bitters, try out different flavors. I think we use the cortisone, the Bitter Cube cortisone.
We actually, and that you're right. That's the other main difference between this and the slushie that we use. The slushie recipe that we use is we use the Bitter Cube cortisone. This is delicious. It adds a little bit more of a peppery punch to it.
Yeah, it's a little more, and I think it's a little more like in just like chocolate skin almost kind of thing, like that cacao kind of skin.
Yeah.
But it's definitely more of a value. But the only reason we didn't kind of include it in is we wanted to keep the price point for this particular kit. But do not sleep on that cacao bitters.
If you had to have a lineup of like 5 bitters at home, if you're gonna set somebody up on their first home bar, what 5 bitters would you choose?
Oh wow, great question. I would for sure have Angostura just because like it's your salt and pepper.
Yeah, you have to.
I would do an orange bitters.
Yes.
Gotta have an orange bitters. I would do a Peychaud's or a Creole bitters, you could call it.
Yeah, especially if you're a fan of the Sazerac, you kind of have to go.
Yeah, those would be my 3 musts.
Okay.
Those would be my 3 musts. I personally would probably toss in some other citrus bitters, like a lemon or a grapefruit. And then I really, really love Bitter Cube's blackstrap bitters for rum drinks.
Okay.
And tiki drinks. But like the grapefruit is great in tiki drinks and with tequila drinks. Or like a molasses bitters. Or you'll also see what's also it's an old style, but it's kind of coming back. Something that's called a broker's bitters, and that's a cardamom bitters. That's really great, and it almost kind of adds like a cola essence to a lot of drinks. But I would say like 5. I don't think anybody needs 5. I would think 3 would be the orange, the Peychaud. Those are the 3 you need.
You need 5.
You need.
Okay. I would throw in there as well as I love the black walnut from Fee
Brothers.
Okay. Black walnut from Fee Brothers. If you have a guest that comes over to your house and like make me a fancy cocktail, you can just pour them your average whiskey cocktail and do the black walnut, and they'll think that they're out at the fanciest downtown big city club.
That is one of my I do love doing an old fashioned with that and a brown sugar simple syrup.
Nice. Cucumber bitters.
Cucumber bitters is fun.
That can be a twist, as well as I would also add in if I like the Jamaica bitters from Bitter Cube.
And I know we've been talking. We're just praising, but we can't talk nice enough about Bitter Cube. We love those guys. Their newer one, their root beer bitters, has been a personal favorite so far. It's been a great additive in spritzes. It adds a little bit of a savory character and minty character to like whiskey drinks and other dark drinks, but also just kind of brings down and kind of levels out like clear spirits like rum and tequila.
Oh, very cool. I'll try that.
We got a couple comments coming in through the chat. Ooh, a little cinnamon would be great in that from Dr. Carroll. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking
you're
nutmeg.
not wrong.
I was thinking nutmeg.
Yeah. I'm kind of on a cinnamon kick lately myself in my cooking, so I could see that.
Oh, that would be great. Lime bitters is a favorite. I say Salaz and beer.
What?
Ooh. Nicole said the Rosé all day slushie can't be beat. Oh, man. Tony? That's how big my Manhattan is later.
Understand the Frozé is a must when we reopen. That's happening.
That's happening for sure. For sure. Like the lime. We do use the Fee Brothers lime bitters at home, and it's one of those things where like just a little bit is perfect, and like you can't. That's one where you can't do too much. And I do kind of feel that way about this chocolate bitters too. Like if you're using it in like in drinks at home, like do start like it's chocolatey.
Okay.
It is chocolatey, but like in here, like with the cream, magic.
And I mean, I the one thing I didn't measure too closely in this particular cocktail was the bitters. I just kind of shook away. So, yeah, you really can't go too much. One thing to understand about these kits is they're not going to go away anytime soon. We're going to keep on selling them downstairs and through our website at raisewine.com. And we kind of did the math. I mean, not only are these batches of about 10 cocktails, I mean, you can see we left a lot for our coworkers to, dive into.
To enjoy too, yes.
There's nothing wrong with throwing a little bit extra ice to get it frothed up again. Just understand that it might dilute some flavors. But, out of these kits, what we get like 3 batches of over 30 cocktails out
so
of
you the Big Ray-Bowski cake you'll for sure get 3
over 30 cocktails. That's amazing
per kit, because you have at least 3 cups of liquid in the one bottle. So then you'll have some coffee liquor and vodka left over for other things.
But yeah, so we're going to keep on selling those.
Yes.
So just keep on coming to the website, as well as this video will stay in perpetuity. So
we'll stay up. So please feel free to share it with your friends or reference back to it. Toss a like or subscribe to the page would be a great help. That'd be awesome if you can. Please do so. Yeah. Oh yes, can't wait to come to we can't wait to have more people at the Growler Gallery. We are excited to have people back. I know Rob is.
Yes. Yep. No.
Yes.
I can tell you, all your friends behind the bar. We stay in close touch. They can't wait. We are making the safe, cautious approach when the time's right, and we can bring back the best of our service. Yes. We will definitely love to welcome you back. In the meantime, get to enjoy being creative on your own. And Scott, myself, Nate, the whole gang downstairs are always downstairs, willing to give you the ideas of some new cocktails to try. I think that this is going to be the summer of Lillet for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to Vespers.
Ooh, you should check out that Cokie Americano.
Okay.
That's another good aromatized wine.
Okay.
To kind of toss into there, but yeah, I think Spritz summer is Spritz summer. All about the Spritz. Well, that's the presentation, folks. We got a couple more minutes here, so we're gonna hang out and drink with you guys for a bit. If you have any other fun comments, if you've been enjoying the cocktails, thank you, Rob.
You're welcome.
Or if you have any cocktail questions, now kind of toss it in now. But otherwise, we're just gonna drink some White Russian.
A couple of other things about the Slushie program at Ray's. Talking about when we made the transition from just the classic cocktails to start doing either seasonal or just party themed cocktails. We started getting into beer slushies.
Yes.
And it's pretty cool.
What was the one from Wuckfinter 2 years ago?
Well, that was the Disco Beets.
That was.
The first Wuckfinter, again, just in the theme of being just silly, throwing an outdoor February beer festival, a frozen drink seemed to be pretty appropriate. Mm-hmm. And, going back to the intensity of flavors, I wanted to do something with a sour beer. So we did the Berliner Weiss from Three Floyds called Disco. And then I just, I keep on talking about intensity of color, intensity of flavors. There is no better natural color that you can get than beet juice. And I kind of ran with the theme. I really was excited. Got this magenta color. I like beets. I kind of forgot that not everybody does. So
I didn't like beets when I was a kid, and I love beets now. I feel like people just whoever said it's kind of like when was the last time you had them? I feel like people just haven't had a good proper roasted beet.
And that's probably the truth. It made for such a great cocktail. The color was beautiful. Using beet juice in cocktails was really introduced to me by one of my favorite bartenders. If anybody follows my classes, you will have heard me talk about Katie Rose from Good Kind before. She made, when still the bar manager at Bernhardt's, a fabulous winter cocktail with beet juice. And just again, talk about elevating your game. Get some beet juice in your life, especially in your cocktail repertoire, and you'll be really happy with it. So that was that one. Happy.
My dad is asking for a Busch Light slushie.
I could do it. I mean,
thanks, Dad.
Again, you're kind of avoiding the intensity of flavor there. That would be like my vodka principle. You're just having a liquid in there just to have a liquid in there. It doesn't add anything to the party. But Busch Light. What would you do with a Busch Light? I'm thinking orange juice.
You know what I would do with a Busch Light?
What?
I'm blanking on the name of it now, but the Campari and High Life.
Oh, what did they? That was the.
It starts with an S. And my phone's across the room right now, so I can't look at it.
Yeah,
But that's what I would do.
I think that was all of our 20-something-year-old coworkers that were drinking those. It's a spritz.
It's a plain spritz. Yeah, it's High Life and Campari.
But
that's what I would do.
Okay. Challenge accepted.
Boom!
We will do a Busch Light Negroni. We'll kind of like a Negroni. We've done a Negroni before for slushies, but we'll do a Busch Light Negroni.
Yeah.
The hipsters will like that.
The hipsters will like that.
Yeah.
And my dad. Thanks, Dad.
That'll be good. What other beer cocktails have we done? I mean, one of my favorite was the Citrus Crush. That was our Malort slushie.
That was good.
Thank you.
That was good.
Malort should be appreciated.
It should be.
Yeah.
Maybe that's good. Maybe the Malort slushie's got to be back for the opening.
Maybe at some point. I don't know that it's going to be the top 4 for the opening, but.
Oh, Ethan, any new flavor ideas for your slushies this year? That's what we're trying to figure out.
Well, I think the Busch Light Negroni, that's the new flavor.
That's it.
No, it's
Ethan will
interesting.
drink because it's Budweiser product.
It's interesting. I got to be honest with you. My drinking in the last year and a half has been Ethan, as you know, a lot of beer, a lot of whiskey. As far as cocktail experimentation, sadly, I haven't been doing a lot in without a bar, so I can't wait to bust out and get creative again. I don't know, any new ideas for in your life?
Oh man, I gotta say, I would love to see something with slow gin. Like a plummy kind of thing.
Good call.
That's what I would like to see. I think that would be fun.
Slow gin kind of has a not a sexy history to it, but there's some really good slow gin products out there.
Yes, there are. Heyman's has got a wonderful one.
Yes.
Incorrect. Tony Malort is good. You're incorrect. Incorrect.
But that is true. I haven't just been drinking whiskey and beer. I've been drinking whiskey barrel aged Malort. So there we go.
Bam.
But yeah, no, I like that idea. The slow gin, the slow gin has a play.
Yeah.
So the slushies again. It's something that we always take a lot of pride in and take very seriously. But at the end of the day, they got to be fun. It's definitely something that we've found. I can't believe the year-round interest in it. So appreciative that everybody has enjoyed and encouraged us to keep on going with it. I would never even say that it's not without possibility to do more slushy machines.
Oh man, it's just gonna gradually can just turn away from a beer bar and just become a slushy bar.
We can do both. We can do both.
Oh, wonderful. There is a Foga 360 that is asking why Dolly's isn't doing more cocktail experiments.
Yeah, so there's another bar in the Greater Tosa area that's been hit hard by the pandemic. Dolly's is my home bar.
I haven't been there in a while.
I can't wait for guests to be back at Dolly's. I should have just borrowed a slushy machine for Dolly's this past year and a half. That would have been amazing.
Foga's gonna be mad at you.
Well, I don't think we're rated high for the electricity to have the slushy machine. But yes, no, we haven't been doing a lot of cocktails at Dolly's.
I started off strong. I think my craziest cocktail experiment was I did a Scandinavian Negroni with Undenberg.
Ooh.
I was doing my pantry raid cocktails, and instead of Campari, I used Undenberg, and I used aquavit and sweet vermouth.
Oh, aquavit. One of the things that we probably, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
For those of you that have watched our Wukfinter broadcast from February, and if you haven't, please, it's still on the Rays TV site. Check it out. But a bartender here, took on a different form as our Yeti and made the Yuck Finger.
Ah, yes.
It was a delicious aquavit.
Yes.
We should turn that into a slushie.
We should turn the Yuck. Yes.
There you go.
What?
Yeah, so there was some experimentation. That's a great product. If you haven't familiarized yourself with it, aquavit, it can be a lot of fun to play with.
It's great, and it's even great in like simple drinks like Bloody Marys. It adds a lot of character to it. Great in sours.
Yeah.
Just awesome all around.
Yeah, I would say sour flavor. That's probably where the next frontier is, to answer your question, Ethan, to play with, is to bring more sour into the repertoire, into the recipe book here for our cocktails.
Yeah, I like it.
Well,
all right, I think we're good.
We got more drinking to do, and I hope you all do too. But
yes,
we're going to take it off camera with our coworkers here.
Yes.
Don't forget to join Nate for the Rosé class this Saturday.
I believe 5 p.m.
I think so.
5 p.m. Yeah.
Yep.
Lovely. Yeah. And just if you are, there are still kits available for that, and there's still kits available for you. You can go to raisewine.com to find all that goodies and to stay up to date on new classes as they come up. We have
fancy hats.
Yeah.
Cool.
Lovely. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Have a great night. Really appreciate you again, watching and tuning in and sharing. Thank you so much.